right. Well, thank you for coming on, Adam.
Hey, James, I need to toot my own horn. Every podcast, I have to toot my own horn. So I got one question for you, James. Because I gotta say stuff like this because I'm retired. People are gonna forget. We can't have that, James. If you had to guess in my pickleball career, how many times combined in tournament play I have beaten Tyson, Riley, and Ben, what would you say?
All right, so we have Adam Stone on the podcast. He's a guy who I've seen on YouTube about maybe 10 times more than I've seen play in person. Being the pickleball nerd I am, I've seen a lot of the Bar and Stone YouTube battles, and so he's co-host on It Feels Right, my favorite, now my second favorite podcast in pickleball aside from my own. And I had to get him on the pod. So welcome to the pod.
Happy to be here. I got no notes. I'm not worried about anything. I'm just here enjoying myself. So I'm ready to rock, James.
Yeah. Oof, all the pressure's on me then. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, I want to know, let's start with a little more about how you got started in pickleball, because you're a veteran, a legend of the game.
Yeah, let's go with that. That sounds perfect. I guess it's probably 6.5 years ago. So my dad had recently retired. I was living in Dallas at the time. I went down to Houston to hang out with my parents, and my mom was just trying to get my dad out of the house. Some of both my parents play tennis, and so some of they're older, so some of their friends had started transitioning over to pickleball for a variety of reasons. And so we just went to the rec center and played. Turned as decent at it. Went back to Dallas, found the best game in town, which was Dave Fleming's game, another Selkirk senior pro. And after I found that group that was, pretty solid, a lot of 4.5s, and Dave probably being the only true 5.0 there, I went back down to Houston, and turns out there was a gentleman by the name of Muhammad Massaquoi who had been playing high-level pickleball for a while. I got hooked up with his group and trained for a handful of months, and then he got me hooked up with Simone and Kyle. And I was pretty free at the time because I was playing professional poker, no significant other, no kids, nothing like that. Next day, I just drove 16 hours to Florida to practice and see how I stacked up against Simone and Kyle.
Okay, well, you were so tell me a little bit about your poker, because I was a bit of a, I've probably wasted 3,000, 4,000 hours of my life playing poker in casinos when I was 17, 18, 19. Played a lot of cash games. I like to think that I'm up overall, but I think I'm probably not up overall. I was a pretty good 1-2 player, and then when I got into the 2-5, I just felt kind of like not good. Felt like I was being targeted. I was the guy that was just definitely. So what was the extent of your poker career?
Wow. So I was going to school at the University of Texas at Tyler. I played tennis there for my last 2 years of school. And one of my buddies, it was kind of the poker boom at that time. You had Chris Moneymaker was coming on ESPN a lot. So what we did is we just played $20 buy-in tournaments. We'd have two tables, 20 people, and we did it almost every night. And I mean, I have a pretty addictive personality. So I got pretty obsessed pretty quickly. And so basically turns out, just like pickleball, I kind of moved up the ranks a little bit, had some success with my buddies, and turns out that there was basically an entire home game, cash game circuit in Tyler. Every day there was a game at someone's house. I would say Tyler's a nice town, but there's not a ton to do there. Poker made a lot of sense. And so after I finished school, I basically stayed on to be the graduate assistant and then the full-time assistant tennis coach and then I would supplement. Coaching tennis is awesome. Teaching tennis a little less fun. So being one of the guys, being on the team, that was great. Only downfall is doesn't really pay a lot. So I was supplementing my income with poker, and then after a couple years, I was just giving up too much money by coaching. So I just went full time into poker. And Shreveport, Louisiana was about 2 hours away, so there was casinos there, and then home games and Tyler, and yeah, just ended up doing that for about a decade.
Whoa, a decade.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did it full time for a decade. Yeah.
Oh
And
my God.
then
Okay.
yeah, and then I found, and I was getting tired of it. It's the freedom. It's cool you're playing a game for a living, but it kind of went from game to job, and
Yeah, for
it
that
started to
long.
wear. Yeah, it definitely it started to wear me down a little bit. There's some pitfalls with it, weird sleep schedules, occasionally some unsavory people around the pickleball poker scene, even though there's a lot of good people in it as well. So yeah, so that's when I found pickleball, and I was ready to make the transition, and so I did.
Yeah, I mean that's it's funny because that 10 years, I don't know how long that 10 years felt like. Because when I would play, it felt like I'd be in there for like 6 hours and I'd walk out, it'd be like dark outside or it'd be
Mhm.
light outside, and I would be
Oh, yeah.
confused. I'd be like, what? It feels like it's been an hour and a half.
Right.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
so
a
I
lot
would
going
say, like, at the beginning, I could play, like, 20 hours straight and just not get bored at all. Just go for it, and then by the end, I'd be at the table for, like, an hour, and I wanted to kill myself. So, it was time to make a switch of some sorts, and so pickleball came around at the perfect time.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense because once you kind of, I guess the fun element of it gets taken out when you're always trying to make the right decision. It's just kind of playing the percentages and
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard way to make an easy living, as they say, James.
yeah. Yeah. So many people know this. I think you might know this. You're my favorite commentator in the game.
Oh, well,
There's
thank you,
only
James. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of competition, to be fair. There's like, I mean, there's maybe six or seven people that commentate. But I think you're the best at it. Anna agrees. A lot of people think that. Um, what is your situation? Because I know last year you were commentating for the APP. This year, I don't even know. Yeah, what's your situation right now?
Hey, well, I appreciate those kind words, James. All you people listening, hear that, hear that. Um, yeah, so I did do some APP commentating at the end of last year, and obviously there has been a change in the dynamic on the APP tour in a variety of ways, not just the player pool, but also some cutbacks with the production and the amount of production they're doing. So I am not going to be involved in any of the APP. I will be commentating Major League Pickleball all 4 days. Thursday for the Challenger, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the Premier, and then I believe both finals on Sunday, Challenger and Premier.
How did I not know that? Is that
That's a
public
great
info?
question. It's a great question. That's what, like, people ask me rules questions sometimes, like tournament rules questions. I'm like, well, I've been playing pro for 6 years, but I don't know that.
Yeah, they
So,
change.
and then I'm also I just had a call with Bob Weiland, which is the kind of the director of talent for the Tennis Channel, and they're going to be taking over a lot of the PPA kind of scheduling and putting the commentators together and those kind of things. So I will be doing some form of PPA commentary. I'm just not quite sure what that's going to be yet. I should find out in the next week or two, probably.
Okay. Well, I think my dream commentator duo would probably be, well, maybe you and Rob, but Rob's hopefully going to be playing. Maybe you and Morgan Evans. I think
Yeah.
Morgan Evans brings, yeah, you two would be good. Um, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't think I think you should be commentating for the PPA. I think the APP just doesn't deserve you right now. It's not, it's like,
Keep talking, James.
yeah, I mean, Lauren is great and Dominic is great. They're great people, but I think you're just on another level. It's just a different level of Yeah, might have to cut that part out, but
No, not at all, James. Not a chance.
it's
Yeah,
tough.
no, I think Morgan's great. He's been around the game a long time. He's quick-witted, obviously. I'm jealous of the accent.
Me too.
And I actually heard a little bit of Kyle McKenzie, and
He's
I
good.
think I think K-Mac is solid. He's got a good kind of analytical mind. I've had some really good in-depth pickleball talks with him, and he's a former poker player as well. So we're kind of on the same page with our thought process, and I think he's going to be looking to do a little bit more commentary as well. But yeah, it, it- it's it's definitely not settled in terms of yeah, who are going to be the guys in the commentary booth moving forward. But there's definitely a lot more talent out there in terms of commentary than there was a couple years ago. So I'm excited. Whoever I get paired with, I'm excited for it.
Yep. Well, we actually had Rob in town. I think well he's still in town. He's doing the
Hmm.
Boca.
Hmm.
It's not an APP, I guess. It's just the Boca tournament. Boca something.
Yeah, it's Carl Foster. Do you know who Carl Foster is?
Hmm.
But anyway, he bought that tournament. So he was somehow connected with the APP last year, and so I believe that he purchased it or somehow took over the tournament as his own kind of private entity, and so it is no longer affiliated with the APP, even though it was last year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was there. I was there yesterday, and it was the end of singles day. It wasn't like nighttime. It was like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock maybe. There's people that should be there. And I was walking by center court and there was like 7 people. It was the most dead. It was oh my gosh, it was depressing. It
Yeah,
was
no,
depressing.
I mean, there's a lot of tournaments to choose from, and I know that Boca's a pretty hotbed for pickle, but maybe because it wasn't affiliated with one of the tours, people kind of passed it by a little bit. But it's that I mean, it's kind of sad as a player. I mean, you when it's kind of dead or there's not a lot of vibe with the crowd. I think it leaks over to the players sometimes. So yeah, having a good crowd and a good energy, especially on your main court, I think is important for a tournament.
Yeah. I mean, it's well either way though. I mean, I hope things get a little better with that because it's tough when I'm playing and there's nobody there. It's just I don't know if I play worse. I don't really know if it affects my play, but it definitely affects my experience. I mean, I feel like
Mhm.
it's because you as a player you want to think that you're not really too focused on the crowd. You want to think that you're kind of locked in on the match, but if you know who's watching, if there's nobody there, and it just kind of makes me feel like I'm playing like a rec game or something of that nature. It's not the same, but either way, we had Rob here, and he's a good guy. We got some good games in. We actually bonded over our um, I had this progression where I started and my favorite event was singles,
Mhm.
and then about 3 months in, my favorite event became mixed, and recently, my favorite event has become men's. And we were talking about it. It was me, Gabe, Rob, and JW. We were
Mhm.
on one court, and then on the other court, it was like Georgia, Anna, I forget who else. And they were like, "You guys want to play some mixed games?" And I look at Rob, I'm like, "No, I don't think I do."
I mean, James, you know what the best mixed practice is, right?
Men's.
Men's doubles. That's right, baby.
Yeah. I didn't really it was funny because I used to love and I mean I still love mixed, but it's not men's is just it's my favorite game. And I think that um I kind of want to get your take on that too, because you were I don't want to say like a men's specialist, but that was the event that you had the most success in on a consistent basis. So yeah, what's your take on like is that your favorite?
I mean, I think that's probably exactly what I was. Early on, I had some pretty good singles results, but I scrapped the singles game pretty quickly. Not only because I was going deeper in the doubles draw, but because people got a lot better too. So it was kind of a both situation, kind of body preservation for deep runs and doubles. And I've had some sprinkled in mixed success as well, but yeah, I mean, I'm just a little limited. So I can I can put pressure, when I'm on the left, I can put pressure in the middle of the court with my forehand, but it's tough for me to cover. I just don't have the length of some of you guys, and I have decent footwork, but I just can't cover court and put pressure and cover behind me like some of the better, longer players out there. So I think that some of my maybe physical limitations are less of an issue in men's, and so that's probably why I've had a little bit more success in the men's doubles, and I definitely enjoy it the most. A lot of mixed is just maybe like putting on maximum pressure, kind of overwhelming a situation, being a big physical presence. Where men's doubles is a little more strategery, and I'm not. There's plenty of strategy in mixed. There's a lot with the court positioning and all different kinds of things. But when you get four dudes at the kitchen line with quick, thunderous counterattacks, you better have some strategy to what you're doing. Because if you're firing away or you're making bad choices, you're going to pay the price big time. So yeah, definitely my favorite iteration of the game, even though everything's fun.
Yeah, and I think that if I'm practicing a lot of mixed, for whatever reason, it kind of starts to bleed into my men's game, and I start to make dumb decisions.
Hmm.
Like that
Hmm.
could just be a me problem, but I was because yeah, I mean,
I
I
mean,
was
I
playing.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I
No,
was
I
just
was just gonna say, yeah, I know. That was funny. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because I think an optimal strategy a lot of times is mixed, is literally just start the fire on not an absolutely horrible ball. Like it could be a very mediocre attack, but we're just going to start the firefight and trust our hands. You start attacking too many very mediocre shots in men's, you're going to get a decal thunder punch to your Adam's apple. So that's the difference, and I think you're exactly right. It's important to separate those two, and sometimes that's not always incredibly easy.
yeah, and it's funny because I think men's is cool because it's like, especially if you're playing against a guy like, me and Tyson were playing J-Dub and Dylan at this past tournament, and we won the first game.
Hmm.
And next two games we didn't win, but it was closer than I was even like afraid. Like I was afraid we were gonna get rolled, me and
Yeah, I know.
and we didn't get rolled. And it's like there's just different ways of, like, if you look at mixed, it's just like you said, you want to attack pretty much any ball you can, unless it's like Anna Lee or something, then you got to be a little. But with with that match, it was like we just wanted to dink middle and make every dink, like anytime we were in trouble or any sort of question, we were just going to dink middle. And some of our dinks middle were going like 8 inches over the net. Like these were not great dinks, but nothing was really happening. And then a lot of times people were looking to, I felt like they were trying to dink to me to then attack Tyson.
Yeah.
And like things like that, different like sort of dynamics like that are stuff that you have to be aware of. But in mixed, I feel like it's always just, unless there's some sort of crazy circumstances, you're gonna try to avoid attacking the man. Usually, just attack the female and just take as much court as you can comfortably take.
Hmm.
And you don't really see that type of higher level stuff, like that type of thinking. And I wasn't even aware of that type of thinking. Like people had said to me, "Oh yeah, when you play Matt and Riley, if Riley's on the left and Matt's on the right, it's the same thing. It's like the middle dink is the safest dink." And
Hmm.
I wasn't even like, I was watching the matches, but I wasn't even
Oh
thinking
yeah.
of that stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
it's especially with J Dub and Dylan. That's the safe place, because of course J Dub can attack out of the air with his forehand, but he much prefers to do it with his backhand.
yeah,
If you go out wide to either one, Dylan's forehand attack off the bounce is probably one of the best in the game. J Dub's backhand attack out of the air is probably one of the best in the game. And neither
facts.
one of them is terribly comfortable attacking from the middle. J Dub will occasionally do it off the bounce with his forehand, but he doesn't love to. And
Okay.
Dylan isn't totally comfortable attacking backhands out of the air. He obviously can do it, but it's not one of his better places. So I totally agree with you. That's a safe spot to go there, and the same thing with Matt and Riley.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that's what makes men's cool because you can't really get away with stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
me and Rob were talking about that. And another thing that I like about Rob is, well, let me ask you this.
mhm,
So this is something that me and Anna were talking about. So Rob, one thing that Rob did that was great was, so he was playing with Franklin's, right? The Boca tournament, you got to play with Franklin's.
mhm,
When we came to practice, when he came to practice with us, there was no mention of can we all play with Franklin's. He was
right,
happy to play with Duras because it's everybody there was a PPA pro except for Rob. So
mhm,
he wasn't going to make us play with Franklin's, right?
right,
And
right.
then we invited a couple other non PPA pros to practice with us on a different day. And they came in, particularly one person actually was the culprit here and said,
You can say it.
"Oh, I don't know if I should because this is a Selkirk podcast. This is a
Fair enough,
Selkirk
fair
podcast."
enough.
But and they were like, so they said to me, to everybody there was a PPA pro except for them and Rob. They were like, let's play with Franklin's because we're playing with Franklin's this weekend. And I'm
Mhm,
just like, no, I don't want to play with Franklin's.
mm-mm,
I hate
mhm.
Franklin's. And then and nobody seemed to have a problem with it except for me. Everybody's playing with Franklin's. And I thought I was crazy. Like, am I the only person that doesn't want to play with Franklin's because this one person wants to play with Franklin's? This is just a random tangent, but I guess what would you do if or what would your take on that be? One person comes in and says, "We're all going to play with Franklin's."
I guess that's a tough call. I guess it depends maybe when your tournament is, but I don't really. They're just so different. I don't really like leading up to events playing with a different ball. And I mean, if it's whatever 3 weeks out, who cares? But if it's even reasonably close, I like to play with the ball that I'm going to play with because I mean, it's way different. It's way different. And I mean, everyone, especially everyone playing in your group, is going to be a nice, talented player. Those little tiny tweaks, or those balls that stay in or go 4 inches out, like those are the adjustments that you're making. It's not like I mean, you guys are at a level. It's not like you're just trying to hit the ball in. This is some pretty specific stuff, and you're trying to dial in, big top spin attacks and whatever else. It's super important, in my opinion, to play with the right ball. So I don't know. I guess it gets a little dicey when you have a group, but I like playing with the ball that I'm going to be playing with at my next event. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I just flat out don't like Franklin's. I mean, it's not my game. It's really just not who I am as a player, you know? The Franklins are just, oh my gosh, they're so
Yeah,
soft.
yeah.
It's yeah. But oh, speaking of that, the MLP was gonna do they were gonna do Dura balls. Or no, they were gonna do MLP balls and then they switched it to Dura balls.
Dura, right?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Did you ever try those or know
I
anything about
did.
those MLP balls?
Yeah, they're duper balls actually.
Oh,
So
Duper balls?
yeah, they had the little duper insignia. So at the APP Punta Gorda, which my dang wife pulled me out of retirement, and she's playing MLP. I've been drilling with her. I mean, for a retired pickleball player, I've been playing a little too much, I think, James. But anyway, so all the players that were drafted into MLP that were at that APP tournament, they gave a package of the duper balls to. And basically the guy described it as, when it's fresh, it's very similar to a Dura, but it softens up quicker than a Dura. So I think at the beginning it's Dura-ish, and then after whatever amount of play, it gets kind of Franklin-ish. So I played with them. I thought they played fine, but they are definitely softer than Duras, especially when you have high level players whacking them around for 10 minutes or so. So yeah, I thought they were fine, but yeah, I prefer the Dura to the Franklin, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird going from like being, because I was thinking I got to try this ball, and nobody had this Duraball, so I had no chance to
Mhm.
try it. And MLP is a huge event, and it's in a week.
Yeah, yeah,
So I was kind of glad that they changed it because I like Duras better, and I didn't really want the change. But I was also a little like, okay, I mean, at least stick to one thing, make a
sure,
decision.
sure. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's important stuff. It's getting real out there. So these little things need. I mean, people are prepping. They're doing their work. They're practicing leading up. I mean, I think to whatever the decision is, to make that decision is important. But it's tough for those guys. I got a lot of respect for that MLP crew. They have had a lot in their lap this last month or two. So I know they're doing everything in their power to make it a good event, and it's just a lot for a short period of time.
Yeah, and they've gotten a lot more professional too. I mean, and
Hmm.
in my situation, I've got they've got us this crazily nice Airbnb. It's like
Hmm.
I don't even remember the rate per night, but it was something that I would like never pay. It
Yeah.
was like close to like, I mean, it was 6 bedrooms, 6 baths, like just a crazily nice place. And Anna's team actually is booking them flights. They're leaving on Sunday, so they're gonna get there 5 days before the event, and
Hmm.
they're gonna have their flights paid for, their hotel paid for, maybe a rental car. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely getting a lot more. I think somebody said that Rob has like a chef.
Yeah. Rob and Corinne are on the same team, and they got them an Airbnb, chef,
That's
and
insane.
and an SUV to drive them to the events and stuff. I mean, that's legit, man. That's legit.
That's legit. You got a chef? That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're gonna have a documentary team following that team around. I believe it's God, I can't even remember. New Jersey. Dang it. Here, let me look real fast. Oh, the Brooklyn Aces. That's right, because Corinne's pregnant, so they think that's a good storyline. So they're gonna follow. I think there's 4 documentary teams that are gonna follow around some individual players and some teams, and man, that's cool. That's good stuff. It is getting more real and more official, and more, like you're a professional athlete, which you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say because I don't really consider myself to be that incredible of an athlete, but it's pretty awesome, I would say.
Just be tall and have heavy hands, man. That's all you got
That's
to do.
all I need. So let's get down to the stuff that Anna told me. She was like, James, you probably shouldn't talk about this on your podcast. Well, I'm gonna just talk about it. It's not that big of a deal.
Come
So
on.
the MLP groups came out.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you saw the Group A, Group B, Group C.
I have, yes.
Okay, so I think it'd be a fun thing for us to predict the two. So two people come out of each group.
Correct. That's right.
Okay,
So
I
there'll be six total come out. 2 teams will have a bye, and then those other 4 teams will play for the second 2 semifinal spots.
got it. Okay,
Right.
so do you want to predict the teams that will go, or the two teams that will advance from each group?
Well, sure, we can do that. You just got to
Okay.
tell me who it is. I actually got them listed down here somewhere. But yeah, you can tell me, and then I pretty much remember all the teams. But you might have to refresh my memory a little bit.
Okay. So we'll do. I don't know
Okay.
if we should do my group first. Let's do Group C first.
Let me see here. I'm gonna look up. Okay, yes, I got the teams right here. So okay, yeah, tell me the grouping.
Okay, so um Group C is ATX Pickleballers, Seattle, Las Vegas Night Owls, and the New York Hustlers.
New York Hustlers. Okay. Okay. The Las Vegas Night Owls, which is okay, that's the Vivian David, Deckel Bar, Lauren Stratman, Kyle Yates team.
Yep,
And I think that they are they're that team that is just solid throughout. So we talked about this the other day on the It Feels Right podcast, that there's several teams that are kind of top heavy and then maybe leave a little bit to be desired on the back end of their picks. And then there's some teams that are very uniform throughout. And I think that this is one that absolutely qualifies as solid throughout. The Hustlers is Anna's team. Anna, Tyson, Rafa Hewitt, and Lacey Schneeman. Solid team as well. And what are the other two?
um, Seattle. So that's Ben's team or Colin's brother's team. Sorry.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah, that I mean, that's fine. You can say whatever you want to. That's more of an It Feels Right podcast
I
thing.
know. That's funny.
Yes, that's a very good team as well. I gotta take them. I'm a big fan of Etta Wright. I think she has some
Me too.
strong upside, and I was happy to get two very. I mean, I feel like I have 2 top 5 men on my team and Riley and AJ. But for sure, when you go strong and you take those men at the beginning, and then you see like Tyler Loong and Thomas Wilson going in the last 5 picks of the draft, it kind of hurts your heart a little bit. So I think that yeah, to get Tyler Loong that late, obviously have Ben and Etta Wright, and I don't even know. Megan Dizon, I believe, is the other
Yeah.
player on that team.
Yep.
That's a quality squad. I got to have them advancing. And what was the 4th team again?
ATX Pickleballers. So J
ATX.
Dub, Jade Kawamoto, Jackie Kawamoto, and Gabe Tardio.
Okay, I'm gonna have them not going, and I'm gonna take the Hustlers. I'll take Anna's team, and I'd put the Anna team and the Deckel team neck and neck, and I'll give a slight edge to Anna's team because she's a champion.
The energy on that team is going to be,
For
as we
sure.
said.
That would be a pretty good team to kind of follow around with
Yeah.
documentary style for sure too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Flop that mullet out, Tyson. Let's see it, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I think that the best team in that group's got to be Ben's team,
Hmm.
just because Ben, I mean, they somehow, of course, Ben finagled it so that he's got like a top 5 men's team, and then
Right.
he's also got the strong women. So
Yeah,
I
definitely. I
yeah.
would say Dizon. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that she's the wild card, and if she plays well, whoo, that's going to be a tough team. If she struggles a little bit, I know she has amazing shot making and great power, but occasionally has some inconsistencies in her game. If she plays well, that's going to be a very tough team to beat.
Yeah, and it's gonna be tough to find Tyler even in the Dink exchanges, just because Ben is gonna take 70% of the court, and then Tyler's earning the other 30%.
Right,
Um,
and he doesn't do a lot with his dinks, but he doesn't really miss dinks. So I think it's a solid matchup, and yeah, they're both big time veterans. They know each other's game well, and yeah, I have no doubt, even though she's pretty new, that Etta is going to be what she is, and that's very good. Only real wild card on the team is Megan Dizon, in my opinion.
so what do you think about Ben not taking Colin in the fourth
Oh
round?
no, I think it's the right pick. He's very analytical. He's a smart guy, and he understands that any gain, sorry, something in my eye, any gain that he's getting in men's, being so comfortable with his brother, that you got to give the edge to Tyler Loong in mixed and in singles. And so I think for the team construction, it made a lot of sense to do that. And also, I believe that Etta is much more comfortable on that left side, so it's a
Yeah,
nice pairing with Tyler Loong there. So yeah, I mean, Colin, he used to play some pretty high level singles back in the day,
I've
and I
seen.
saw him at the Bubbly Championships play a pretty nice left side mixed. But I do have to give Tyler Loong the edge in those 2 formats for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny too, like just
Yeah, of course it's funny. I mean, and the thing is I think he picked it like instantly too. Like
yeah.
it wasn't like he waffled back and forth. Oh, should I take my brother? It was they went on the to the next pick, and he's like Tyler Loong.
Oh,
So
that's
that's pretty
hilarious.
funny.
Yep. So okay, we pretty much agree there. What do you think about my group? Oh, this is pretty obvious in my opinion, but Group A, you got Milwaukee, St. Louis, formerly Cabo Vamos, I guess. And
Oh, okay. So I would put Cabo Vamos last.
me too.
Uh, Milwaukee is a good team.
Oh yeah.
Milwaukee's a good team. Like, where's the weakness? I guess you could maybe get some sporadic play from DJ. You know that as being on his team, but when he's playing well, he's ridiculously good. So, and then to pair him with someone you might think being a giant 6'5" Romanian, that he might be a high upside, up and down player. Andre Daescu's a rock.
Yeah.
So to put DJ with that rock, and then have the super comfortable team of Callie Smith and Lucy Kovalova for the women, I think that's a very quality squad. And not a lot of holes or places to pick with that team.
Yeah, I don't know how that even happened. I mean, that team is like almost like how DJ fell that far, how Diescu fell that far.
Right. That's what another example of
Shocking.
taking two guys early and then seeing these dudes in the last round go. I was just like, oh man, it hurts. I mean, it hurts. It's like, I like our strategy, I like our team, but that's a lot of value to be getting in the last round of the draft.
Yeah, I don't even oh, sorry, my
Oh,
computer.
and you're with Annalie, Leia, and Hayden. Is that correct?
Yeah. Me, Anna Lee, Leia, Hayden. I think we're pretty good. I don't know how good like I mean me and Hayden are just it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to we're gonna have to just play balls to the wall, just rip everything and just trust our hands and see how that goes. That's
Seems,
because that's always a great men's strategy, right?
yeah, yeah, right. We just talked about that, James. That's perfect. But the thing is, I'm not sure you need to win. You just need to
No,
tie. You just need to
exactly.
tie, and then I like your chances pretty good. So I think that's a cool part about MLP. Obviously, singles is important, but no one really knows how important it is. Like, there's not enough of a sample size of like matches going to Dream Breakers and then this and that and whatever, especially with the switching of the format and some of the different freezes and stuff. So I think that's one of the cool things about MLP is that no one really knows what the optimal team construction is, or like exactly what is the way to go in terms of like percentages and numbers. So, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe only a few go to Dream Breakers. Maybe over half of them go to Dream Breakers. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean that could be a good strategy for us. Just win women's. We gotta win women's,
Mm-hmm.
and then me and Anna Lee win mixed, and then we just punt the other two events, and then we just
Yeah, right. Whatever. Just
yeah
play some singles.
play
Absolutely.
some singles.
I
That
mean, I
could
think
work.
it's I think it's pretty clear that you have the one and the two best women's singles players, and then obviously yourself and Hayden, very competent as well. So that's a very very tough singles team for sure. And
I
what
think
was the what was the fourth team?
uh BLQK, another good singles team.
BLQK. Oh, that's the Coop, Dylan Frazier, Federico, and Maggie Brasha. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I
I'll,
mean,
I'll give Cabo Vamos, the St. Louis team, definitely number four. I'll put you and BLQK pretty close, but I'll give you guys the edge, and then I'll have the Mashers in the top spot in that group. But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's tough because with Milwaukee versus us, I mean, we could be a good matchup just because we're such a huge favorite in that Dream Breaker because that's not a Dream
Hmm.
Breaker team at all. And if we
It
win
is not.
women's,
It is not.
yeah, if we win women's and then me and Annalie win mixed, it's
Yeah,
over.
you know what? Yeah, screw it. I'll take you guys over them.
What a
Just
great
from the
guess.
just from the Anna Lee factor. Like, she's just like the gap. There's no, like, if you go down the list of the top 24, like there's no, like, really the only huge gap is probably Anna Lee and number two. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah,
you
I know.
get deeper into the 24, men and women, there's just little small gaps. Everyone's really good. Obviously some people are a little bit better than other ones, but she's disgusting. I mean, it's
Yeah, I know.
ridiculous. There's no
Yeah.
weaknesses, there's nothing to pick on, and she can play all the sides, all the events. Just kudos to her. I think maybe having her on your guys' team just puts you over the top.
Maybe. I mean, I'll tell you what, if me and her lose mixed, we know whose fault it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
You
that's
said
not
it,
gonna
not
be
me.
good. I actually forgot that you were you're with the Hard Eights in some capacity. You're like the general manager of that team.
Yeah,
Something like
so
that.
I would say probably a little bit more team coach. Definitely, the Hard Eights owner is very competent in terms of decision making and kind of player evaluations and stuff. So I obviously helped with that and with some of my rankings and some of the players. But I I will be doing the commentary all 4 days. So I'm not going to be able to be on the sidelines with them for a lot of their matches, which is a little bit sad. But I'm excited to have a couple team practices before the event and kind of formulate a kind of, basic skeleton game plan against the teams in our group. Once you get on the court, of course, things can change pretty quickly, but just to have a little idea of a couple general go-to strategies going into it, I think kind of helps if you run into some adversity.
Who is the guy that's going to replace Riley? If you can tell me that.
We won't know till Thursday night.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do you
So
know how
how
that
yeah,
process
how
is
it works.
going?
Yeah, how it works, James, is so the Challenger League will be playing on Thursday, 12 teams. Half of those teams will be eliminated by Thursday night, and we get to pick from the 12 guys that are on those eliminated teams. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. That's actually pretty good. I was afraid it'd be like somebody that was not in the Challenger League or the Premier. Like, I don't know how it was going to work, like some random free agent, but that's a good outcome.
Yeah, so we knew that going into the draft, and the Hard Eights owner Timothy Parks, he likes to, I mean, they're the Hard Eights, they like to gamble. So
Yeah.
if we would have had to pick someone higher than 48, so basically, the 10 people after that didn't get drafted, I don't think we could have made that move to get Riley. But the fact that we will have a pretty solid, competent replacement kind of put us over the top to gamble on Riley, even though, he's not going to be there for that first event.
Yeah. And that'll be, I mean, you got Rob, Pat Smith. I'm thinking of good men's players. Probably not, probably,
Pablo, Stefan, Hunter Johnson. There's a couple more I'm missing. I know I have my sheet. I have to look at it, but I
I
don't
don't
have it.
know. I mean, Hunter, I played some rec with him in like a couple days ago. He's got a long way to go in doubles, man.
I'm with you. I don't. He's obviously incredibly good at singles and
Beast of singles.
beast at singles, but I'm with you. Yeah, I think the Johnsons are probably a tier below in doubles from where they are in singles. Both very good at singles, so I'm with you there. I thought I played with Hunter Johnson on the Jackrabbits last year on the last event, and I thought we played pretty well, and I thought he played well, but it seems like often when he has a decent result, he maybe takes a step back in the next couple tournaments. So yeah, who knows? Still fresh, lots of talent in his paddle, but I think he does need some work on that doubles game, especially men's.
Yeah, yeah. Men's is, I mean, obviously that's the thing that comes last.
Yeah.
All right. So lastly, the final group is your team, the Smash, a team that I like, the Mad Drops and Clean Cause.
So I believe, let me look real fast. I believe I had Clean Cause last. Oh yeah,
Me
Clean
too.
Cause. That's Matt Wright. Um,
Not a
it's
good
Matt.
team.
You said that is their team or no? Matt
No, no,
Wright.
no, no, no. I'm saying it's not a good team.
Yeah, Matt Wright, Zane Navratil, Yana Grechkina, and I can't remember the last one, but
Lena put get him.
Lena Pedegamaite. You like that? That was a good one, huh? So, yes, I think that is basically, in my opinion, a team that is very much structured like our team, but I like our guys a good bit better in
Yeah, me
Riley
too.
and AJ than Zane and Matt. So, obviously, great players. And from what I've heard, I have not been able to see her play a lot lately, but I've heard that Yana has kind of stepped up her game a little bit these last few months. So maybe they could surprise some people. I think Lena and Zane had a pretty solid run at this past PPA, maybe settling in the fifth, sixth spot, or possibly fourth, something along those lines. So yeah, maybe on paper I would put them fourth, but I do think that they have a couple reasons to think that they could overperform in the tournament. So
They do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess without Riley, I'll just put us third, even though I think that if we get a good replacement, we can be very, very relevant.
I think so
Yes,
too.
I do like the Florida Smash. Obviously, their ladies are spectacular with Jesse Irvin and Georgia Johnson. And we'll see exactly what happens. I'm pretty sure Travis Rettenmeyer wants to be that left side guy. So I would assume obviously that's what they're going to do in men's. And then Colin. Yeah, Colin could possibly play right and mixed with Lena. Lena loves wait. That's a
Georgia.
different team. That's a different team. That's a different team. Right. So Colin, I've seen Colin play decent mix on right and left. So I think he's flexible in that regard. So that's a tough team. When you have ladies like that, they could carry you to the promised land for sure.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I mean, that's also a tough men's team because Travis is playing really well, and
Yeah.
Colin is obviously really good. Um, okay, so I've got one more question for you because
Okay.
if there's one thing I've noticed about your game, I don't think I've ever seen you not get to the kitchen. I've never seen you not get to the kitchen. And I
Well,
watched you, I've watched a ton of you play. Like I watched you in Deckel a lot. I didn't get to see any of you in Hunter at the MLP, but either way, you're getting up to the kitchen. And if there's one thing that's the weakest part of my game, it is getting up to the kitchen.
hey,
When I'm
we
up there, I'm pretty
yeah.
good
Hey,
because
if
I
we
can.
combined forces, we might be the best in the world because I get lit up when I get to the kitchen.
Well, they'll return everything to me. It was oh man, it was hilarious. This past PPA tournament, Lindsay and Tyson hit a combined like 5 thirds.
Right.
Every
Yeah. Right.
single
Right.
return went to me.
Right.
It just
Right.
makes me feel like, oh my gosh, just gets me tight because it's like I know I'm
Sure.
getting targeted. If I
Sure.
drop,
Sure.
I'm just
Sure.
like, just make it, you
Yeah.
know.
Just make it. Yeah. So I think Hunter and I made it to the kitchen more frequently than any team in Major League Pickleball, and I think I was 32 of 32 on fifth shots,
On fifths.
but fifths. Yeah. So, but once we got to the kitchen, I yeah, once we got to the kitchen, our percentages were a little bit lower. So that's kind of a part of my game. I don't really miss. I don't really give anything away, but sometimes when I get up heads up against a tough player, I struggle a little bit to handle the pace and get lit up a little bit. So I think a lot of that has to do with I'm very, very comfortable. I think I'm probably one of the best players at short hopping. So half
Wow.
volleys and short hopping. And I think that obviously is a good skill set to have when you're moving forward and people are targeting your feet. So I think that helps me a lot getting to the kitchen. But at the same time, basically, once I get to the kitchen, I have pretty good power on my shots and my counterattacks, but I have to swing bigger like Deckel and some of you guys that have that easy power with the short stroke. I just don't have that. So I can hit it a similar type ball to you guys, but I have a bigger swing and my timing has to be very good. So if my timing's off a little bit with those bigger swings, sometimes it gets me in trouble in the hands battles and the counterattacking. So that's kind of how I see it.
So do you have any like did you ever do any drills as far as like transition game, anything outside of just like hitting regular drops?
Oh, right. No, definitely. So, I mean, the first 6 months, I was playing like just a ton of skinny singles. So, just a ton of skinny singles. And there is some pitfalls with that, as often you don't want to get too locked in counter or locked in attacking cross court. If the ball goes up shoulder high or above, do whatever the hell you want to. But creating offense from your midsection and going cross court is difficult against good players. So that's really the only one of the only bad things about skinny singles. But the good thing is you get a ton of touches, a lot of touches on your thirds, a lot of touches in the transition area. So I think that helped a lot. Used to do a lot of training with Tyson, and we just grind skinny singles game and get in a bunch of touches, and I think that helped a lot.
Who usually won most of those games?
Um, I would probably say I had a slight edge, but I'm not exactly sure. It was pretty close to 50-50. Tyson doesn't do a lot of missing. He's not into the missing. He's pretty damn solid. And so we had some pretty crazy battles given that there's only so much you can do in skinny singles. You don't have the like the court space to work with. So you kind of have to go through the guy, and that's not always easy, especially if he's a consistent player.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you would say that skinny singles is probably a better way to drill or work on like getting up to the kitchen instead of just going out there hitting a bunch of drops. Like you think it's like should
Yeah,
be like
but
a point
yeah,
type
I think
situation?
both is good, but in the point, like in the moment, I think, yeah, that's what you do. You go out there and you find a rhythm with your partner hitting cooperatively to you, and then you add the stress and you try to hold that consistency. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you add the stress of point play, and I think that helps a lot. So like my first year and a half, I was just trying to get as many touches as possible. And once I kind of developed all the shots that I wanted, then I started kind of like thinking about implementation, frequencies, how often, get a couple tricks in your tool bag, that kind of thing. So early on, touches, get that feel. And then you can start getting a little more specific with your patterns and some other offensive shots, in my opinion.
Okay. And last question. I know this is kind of boring,
Oh
but
no, this is dude. I'll talk about pickleball all damn day, James. I don't care.
okay. Okay. So when you hit a reset, like a fifth shot or like a seventh shot, because my third shot's actually not that bad.
hmm
Um, but like so I'll hit the third shot, and if it's a little high, I feel like I'm just screwed because my fifth shot and my seventh shot are just pretty weak. Like I just don't feel comfortable. Um, I don't know, like just that sort of like defensive component of it.
Right.
Um, when you have like a fifth or like a seventh shot, are you how high over the net are you aiming? Are you trying to like drop it in, or are you kind of focusing on low over the net? And if they volley it, it's okay.
Well, basically, I go for extreme safety because I am very comfortable in the midcourt. If I was a little less comfortable, I would probably have less shape to my ball, have a little bit more risk, but be able to get all the way in more frequently. So I actually have a good bit of shape to my ball. And if I don't make it all the way in, I don't care because I feel very comfortable hitting the next one or the next one and then getting forward. So I think that Corinne, when we play mixed together, she doesn't love it when I have all that shape because often they go at her. And so sometimes in mixed, I go for a little bit more aggressive, a little more linear on my third and my fifth shot so that my partner is comfortable and can make it to the kitchen line. And if I'm playing with Tyson or I'm playing with someone who is very solid in the midcourt, or Deckel who, might be kamikazing in with that big backhand after one of my drops, then I'm going to go as safe as possible and have as much shape and net clearance as I can. I'm if my hands are off that day and my midcourt play is poor, I'll probably take a little bit more risk with that shot and not put myself in such a tough position.
Okay, because I felt like so everybody returned to me when I played with Tyson,
Uh-huh.
and like my thirds would be a little bit too high, and
hmm
they would bounce. Like sometimes they would bounce. Like Federico was basically letting them bounce,
hmm
and then he would have this forehand that was like right at net height,
Right.
and he would just kill it at Tyson,
Right.
and it was putting Tyson in a tough spot. Um, because it's tough. Like you're running in and yeah. So I was thinking, I was like, should I put slice on my drops more, or should I keep them in front of me more? Because let's say, like, hypothetically, if I'm playing with Tyson, we would rather have me get attacked straight on than Tyson
hmm
get attacked with me going cross.
Sure. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so I should probably drop down the line more frequently.
I think, I mean, that definitely gives him a little bit more time, but I think maybe you just kind of focus on which opponent that you're up against, because I think a lot of people are really good at that. And then some, okay, say for instance, a lot of people, when you're dropping third, fifths, and sevenths, they're trying to poke it out of the air.
Yeah.
And when you're playing someone that likes to take it out of the air, being a little safer and softer and landing it more shallow, I think is good.
Yeah.
But if you're playing like a Zane Navratil, a Connor Garnett, a Federico who loves it when that ball bounces up and they take a full stroke at it, I think you kind of go a little more linear and push that ball a little deeper into the kitchen and kind of force them to take it out of the air a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I think the general mindset is do whatever you can to not let them hit that ball out of the air. But if someone is so good off the bounce and they have that ball that's belt high and they're just taking a full stroke with topspin at it, push it a little deeper and force them to take it out of the air and don't give them that opportunity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cause yeah, man, when we played J-Dub and Dylan, I could not get up to the kitchen. Like it was just frustrating because I think when I'm at the kitchen, I mean, I've hit so many dinks. Like I'm actually pretty good at like my backhand cross court dink is pretty good.
Hmm.
I'm pretty tough to attack. I think at the kitchen, I'm one of the better players, but getting up there is just, oh
Hey,
man.
court time, man. You're still fresh.
Yeah.
You got time. Get those touches in, brother. Get those touches in.
That makes
Absolutely.
sense though. Like if I'm gonna drop to J-Dub, maybe a little safer, just make it bounce. Because if it bounces, we're pretty much safe. But then if I
Yeah.
drop to Dylan, maybe a little more linear to his backhand.
Yeah. I mean, Dub, man, it's just so short and flicky, and he just takes control. I mean, he's real similar. And I do think he's better out of the air with it for sure. So I think maybe Ben, he takes control with those fourth, sixth, and eights, probably one of the best part of his game, but he does it both out of the air and on the bounce. I think it's significantly better for J Dub out of the air. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, just yeah, tinker with it. I think it's opponent dependent, and I'll get in a lot of situations where I'm more aggressive with those shots, and then I'll be if I'm feeling good in the midcourt, my opponent's not making me pay, I'm going to be safe at to not miss. But if they're hurting me and my risk reward is good for them going for it, I'm going to have to give them a little bit of a different ball to not allow them to do that to me. So
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy. That mid-court stuff isn't you're not the only one. It's the issue. Like I said, I need some. Share some of those heavy hands with me, and I'll give you some of that downy soft mid-court touch.
That makes sense though. Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I got to figure this out. Because every return, I mean, again though, like my drops are probably going to get good just because everybody's returning to me. It's like
Right? Yeah,
you
you're
got to
getting your
get good.
touches. So,
Yeah,
how much were you driving with Tyson?
not too often. Well, against Federico and Pablo, a little more often, just because I'm more
Okay.
confident in it.
Okay.
So, like I would just get tight, and I'd be like, ah, screw it, I'll just drive, because
Sure.
I don't want to miss the drop. But then, I mean, ultimately against Dylan and J Dub, they punish their fourths,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
punish their fourths. So if you drive and it's not perfect, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. I,
Worst
yeah. I
case.
I think that that's one of the more underrated shots in pickleball, and one of the more important shots that doesn't get talked about a lot is fourth, sixth, and eights, and keeping like big time pressure, not allowing your opponents to get forward. I mean, everyone always talks about the third shot and then the transition zone and whatever. The big force, heavy force, I mean, it's a big deal, and it really sets up the rest of the point when you can put that pressure. So, very, very important part of the game, and it's not like it's totally looked over. Just sometimes you don't hear it talked about too much.
Yeah, no, I'm working on something like that too, where I if I have like a fourth that's at my forehand side, like my forehand volley, instead of just like trying to rip it and it's like here, I'm actually kind of getting lower with my legs and
Hmm.
being able to take like a sidearm
Ooh, I like that a lot.
overhead swing and just
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, I'm all about that. That loose arm, and you can kind of slap it. One of the advantages of being short, I can hit more of this type of shot as opposed to stroking it. So I think that that's super important, and a lot of people don't do it. Where they get the ball at their midsection, of course they're going to roll that ball. But some people, when it gets shoulder and above, they still stroke it. Slap that thing, use that loose arm, punish that ball. I don't Once that goes up here, don't stroke it. You don't need topspin at that point. Slap the shit out of it. I think that's the best way to go. And that's and a lot of people do it, but a lot of people don't as well.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Adam.
Hey
This was
James,
great.
so I need to toot my own horn. Every
Okay.
podcast I have to toot my own horn. So
Okay.
I got one question for you, James. If you Because I gotta say stuff like this because I'm retired. People are gonna forget. We can't have that, James. If you
Okay.
had to
Okay.
guess in my pickleball career how many times combined in tournament play I have beaten Tyson, Riley, and Ben. What would you say?
In doubles only? Or I
This
guess
is
singles
yeah,
too.
doubles and singles. Even though singles is only one match, but so mostly doubles. Yeah,
Uh, 10?
36.
Whoa, that's a lot.
36. So
That's a lot. That's the
everyone
first.
guesses low. So that's my fun question to ask. Because
Okay.
James, people, you guys can't be forgetting about this. This is important stuff.
Who
Important stuff.
was the who was the guy you beat the most?
Oh, definitely Tyson. I've
Really?
oh yeah, but I've also played. I've played Tyson just in men's doubles. I've played Tyson 29 times.
Oh my God. Oh wow.
So I have a pretty reasonable. I mean I have several wins over Ben, but the percentage is low as shit. Like I'm probably like 7-30 or some 7-35 or something like that against Ben, but fairly close against Riley and Tyson. We had a pretty solid rivalry. Deckel and myself versus Tyson and Riley. We always ended up to seemed that we played each other at some point in the draw. So yeah, crazy sample size though to probably have played those three guys like 60 or 70, somewhere between 60 and 75 times. Some crazy.
That's a lot. Wow.
Maybe more,
30.
maybe even more, to be honest. Probably 100 times combined. So, well, yeah, wild stuff.
Yeah. Well, I will tell my friends that stat. I will use
Absolutely.
that stat. They have
Hey,
to
and you
know.
can, hey, you can, if you come across, a higher up at Tennis Channel or the talent selector for PPA, you go ahead and squeeze that in. That you and Anna think I'm the best commentator. That's fantastic. I wouldn't be upset about that at all, James.
Okay. Yeah, I'll consider that. Oh, that's funny. Awesome. Okay, man. All right. Well, good talking to you. Thanks for coming on. Great as always. Best commentator in the game. And yeah,
Let's go.
yeah.
Appreciate that. This was a lot of fun, and we'll see you in a week, buddy.
Yep. See you soon. Good luck.